Hello, thank you for coming down. Thank you for Brightpearl. So today we're going to be talking about kind of top tips for e-commerce SEO, specifically on-site SEO. So before we get started, my name's Adam. I'm head of digital marketing for the Web Design Group. We're partners with Brightpearl, Google, University of Nottingham, SagePay, PayPal. We're a digital agency. So if we start off, right at the basics, what is SEO? Well, SEO is basically the process of ranking a website organically within the search engines. So if we look at a typical search engine results page, we're talking about these results here, as opposed to these results here, which are paid advertising. SEO also encompasses these results here. This is what's known as local SEO. Now, for any business that has a physical address, this is also important. This has a very different algorithm to the actual search results. So organic results are more likely to be clicked on than paid results. Now this is down to trust. You can see here from the user's heat map that the users actually spend a lot more time looking at the organic results than the paid results. And again, this is all down to trust. The thing is, even me, I manipulate these results for a living, but I don't go past the first page. I very rarely click onto the second or third page. Google has become such an integrated part of our lives that we implicitly trust what they give us. If after this conference I went out into Birmingham and I searched for the best Indian restaurant in Birmingham, I wouldn't go onto the second page. I would trust what Google gives us. Now, if you combine this with the rising of e-commerce sales, well, this is for the US, the value of SEO over other marketing channels is huge. That doesn't say that other marketing channels aren't important. SEO is fast-paced, we're mixing the technical and the creative. Essentially, SEO comprises of two main parts, on-site and off-site. So how your website functions, how it's technically set up, and then how you market it yourself online. Now, one of the reasons why SEO is difficult is because Google doesn't actually tell us what its algorithm is. It is an industry that's shrouded in secrecy. Because SEO can be such a wide field, I've narrowed this presentation down just to focus on a few on-site issues. I gave a talk at the University of Nottingham a few months ago, which was about 2 hours long. And we only barely scratched the surface, but we covered both the on-site and the off-site. But instead of kind of giving you a kind of a rough general feel of it, we thought we'd just narrow it down to a few key issues. So firstly, SEO for e-commerce. The important thing to know is it's not a natural fit. The way that modern web design works is you have a minimal website with very image-heavy, minimal text. That's the way that humans view the web, but not the search engines. So modern websites have minimal content, they've got duplicate content, technical issues, and a confusing hierarchy. Now, all these things are completely alien to the search engines. There's a massive disconnect between the way that modern websites work and the way that Google works. And this leaves us a vast opportunity. There's a very old expression in our industry that you need to treat the search engines like a blind 5-year-old child, which basically means you need to be ultra specific of everything that you do. And this is where the opportunity comes in. Issue 1, thin content. The search engines are seeking information. The way the search engines work is not the way that we work. So a human will come along, they'll have a look at a website, they'll skim read, they like images, they like bullet points. Search engines are actively seeking text-based information. Now, Google makes its money from the paid ads that we saw in the first few slides. So people come to Google. It provides better results than Bing. So a percent of those people then click on the adverts, and then Google makes money. So that's a very simple business model. So they have to provide the best information for the user. Now, it's a priority that Google produces the best results, but machines don't view the web in the same way that we do. So this is how we see the web. And this is what bots see. All the images, videos, everything else has disappeared. And here lies the big disconnect with SEO and modern web design. What humans think is a good site and what machines think is a good site can be two very, very separate things. Humans are lazy. We like images, videos, bullet points. But a machine, an image is just a line of text. It's just a file name. So a machine needs the text to understand the purpose of the page. Without the text, there's very little for the machine to understand. So you can understand. So this is how we understand what a machine sees. If you look at the cached version of the page in Google, you can then click the text-only version, and then you can see what the machines see. Now, there's a direct correlation between the number of words on a page and the position you're ranking in Google. Google needs the text on the page to understand the purpose of what he's talking about. So the more text you have on the page, the higher that you rank. If there is no text on the page, the search engines do not understand what the context of the page is. So an e-commerce site like this, it looks quite nice, but with a product description like this, there's no way that this site will ever rank based on the only text-based content on the page being that. And this site doesn't rank. I've checked it. It doesn't rank. You've got to be careful, because not only will Google look at your site and say, I don't understand what the site is about, this guy will come along. And Google released the Google Panda update in 2011, which aimed at lowering the rank of sites that had thin content, so not enough text on the page. So not only will Google not rank your site, they will actually devalue your site if you do not have enough content on the page. And this isn't just a single page. If you don't have the content, it will devalue your entire site. The solution is every page needs text-based content. But it's a little more complex than that. Just putting up text-based content on your site isn't really enough. If you're an e-commerce site, you see countless e-commerce sites with homepage, category page, subcategory pages, and product pages with very, very little content. It's fine just to say, okay, we'll just chuck some content up there. But you need, at least a few hundred words on each one. But then we get onto the issue 2, which is unique content. And this guy will come back again. Because not only do you have to have content on your pages, it all has to be fresh and unique and designed especially for that page. So one of the big mistakes is copying and pasting manufacturers' descriptions. This is one of the biggest things I see with e-commerce sites, is they take one description and they just copy it across 10 of their sites and they just spin it out. If you're going to take the time to build a site, then you have to just at least write decent copy for it. So that's a massive no-no. If you think of the search engines as information engines, they've already found that piece of information online somewhere else. Why would they care if your site has the same information on it? They're already ranking a site that has that information. That information is already in their index. So if we take this page, I picked at random on Amazon. We take the product description. We search for it in quotes in Google, and there's 34 other pages that are using that product description. If you're using the same product descriptions on similar products as well, so we're talking about things that are color, size, type. So you may have 3 different products that are 3 different colors. Well, what people will do is they'll use the same product description but just change the color in the product description. That's where Google will come back and get you. So for example, a segment timer. There's not much you can write about it. If they've done a decent job. The thing is, if you search for it again, they've used the same one on 2 different products. Now, for Google, Google doesn't care about anything else. It just sees exactly the same content on 2 different pages. Now, which ones are going to rank? The answer is neither one. You remember, the search engines are seeking information. They want to find new pieces of information that bring value to the user. If the user is not getting value, then people are going to use a different search engine. People get obsessed about building their site and it's the best site ever. But they never think about why a search engine should care about their site. You have to force the issue. So, issue 3, technical duplicate content. Now this is huge. People don't really realize how bad this is. Because modern CMSs, there isn't a single page for your product. It's pulled together from different CMS blocks. So you could have products that are shown on multiple URLs. So for example, here, you could have a single product that's shown on 4 different URLs just through a different category structure. Now, Google doesn't care enough about your business to think, okay, they probably just mean the one product. Again, we're talking about a blind 5-year-old child. So it will see 4 different pages here because there's 4 different URLs. And many of you will look at kind of big brands and how they deal with this, and they'll say, well, these big brands, they've got massive amounts of duplicate content, massive amounts of no content on there. Well, Google actually treats big brands differently, and it allows them to get away with a lot more. As smaller or medium-sized businesses, you have to kind of put these things in place. So you can have roots and subdomains indexed. So for example, here, there's the www version and the non-www version, both indexed. These will be treated as 2 separate sites, even though it's exactly the same content. You can have multiple protocols indexed. So if you decide to move to HTTPS from HTTP, if it isn't migrated properly, then you can end up with having 2 exact versions of your site live and indexed within Google. So for example, this site has moved, but they haven't dealt with it properly. So they've got the secure version and the unsecure version both indexed. Now this is an issue which I see so much. People just assume that their development sites don't get indexed. It took me 1 Google search and about 30 seconds to find that. This is a development site for Vita Clay, which is a US site. So if I go to the root domain of this site, it's a software company in the US. Now, this is a completely separate domain. So essentially, what we've got here is we've got 2 exact duplication versions of the same website indexed within Google. Now, the truth is, Google's looking for unique, relevant content. And if it finds 2 exact versions of the same site, it will just dismiss both of them. The solution, you've got to do a site search. So if you put site and then your root domain, Google will give you every index page that it has in your index. Then, if you're on your product pages, if you add a canonical tag is basically telling Google, okay, I know I've got duplication, and this is a duplicate version, and this is the exact version that I need to use. You can use 301 redirects from root domains and subdomains. You can no index and block off any development sites that you have. faceted navigation. This is essentially dynamically sorted content. So if we take this site, for example, URL, dining furniture, dining chairs. It's nice. It looks like a nice site. It's great for the users. Users can tick off the different colors they want. The content is dynamically sorted on page. But the problem is that the URL remains the same. So this isn't very great for search engines. There's no landing pages. There's no unique content. There's no unique URLs. This might not seem like an issue, but if you don't have a unique URL for your product, then you can't optimize your content around it and you can't write specific content. So let's say, if we go back, I want to design a landing page targeting brown chairs or brown dining furniture or brown dining chairs. I can't do that. I can only write content around dining chairs because there's only one page that Google can access. So the solution, they've had to create separate landing pages, each with their own URL, that do exactly the same job as the faceted navigation. Except that those landing pages, the only purpose of them is for SEO. So they can write unique content and they can have a standalone URL that can be indexed. So, keyword cannibalization. Keyword cannibalization occurs when two or more pages compete for the same keywords. Now, that might not sound like a big issue, but this is one of the biggest things I've seen at the moment in the industry. It's holding sites back. So it looks something like that. So we've got time along the bottom, and then positioning Google up at the top, and each one of these lines is a different URL. Now, what happens here is, let's say you're selling microwaves, and you've got one site that only sells microwaves. Your homepage is optimized for microwaves. You've got a category page that's optimized for microwaves, and then you've got 5 different products that are optimized for microwaves. Now, Google doesn't know which page to rank for that subject, so it's constantly testing. So it's saying, okay, let's try this page, let's try this page, and let's try this page. And each time it pops one page up, it pulls the other one down, because it only wants to rank one page from one site. Now, this one doesn't go into full detail, but if you look at this one, you see every time this one pops up, this one drops down a little bit. And what eventually happens is that both pages kind of join in the middle around the second or third page. The site is literally eating itself. So, for example here, the Google bot. It's got cannibalsnowboards.com. It's got 4 pages that are targeting snowboards. If the site is structured correctly, with one page targeting snowboards, one page targeting discount, one page targeting kids, one page targeting women's, or with internal links pointing in, then it understands which is the right page. So you can sculpt this for a returnal anchor text. You can target it with external links pointing at each page. The quality of the content. So if you're targeting snowboards, for example, then you make sure your title tag and the content around those things are absolutely bang on targeting those keywords. So to fix that, you need to ensure a clear web structure. You need clear keyword targeting, and you de-optimize competing pages, or you can put a canonical tag pointing at the page that you don't want to be indexed. All right. If you've got any questions or... Yep.
Can I just ask,
Yep.
is it possible, you were talking before about some pages not having a lot of content and it being kept quite minimal
Yep.
for design websites?
Yep.
Is it possible to, and I don't know if this is a negative thing to do, to put content up there that
You can, the best way to do it, are you talking about like product pages or category pages? Or?
So having some text that might be on a page, but it's hidden to the user unless perhaps you have like a read more that would open it out.
Yeah, well, the best way I find to do it is to put the text at the bottom of the page so the user can get to the information they want quickly. But then you can also hide it behind like a read more, but you have to be quite careful about the way that you do it. For instance, there's if you do it in certain forms of like JavaScript, Google can't read the content. So I dealt with a site about a year or so ago where the client came to us and they were spending fortunes on PPC and they were nowhere with SEO. And that was because all their content was hidden behind kind of like a read more drop down in the side. So there's a little bit of text and then it was all kind of hidden. But because Google couldn't access that content because of the way it was coded, Google couldn't find any content on the whole page. It couldn't find it across the whole site. So as soon as we changed that drop down to be a HTML drop down rather than a JavaScript drop down, it allowed Google to find the content, and within like 2 months, basically the traffic went up like about 1,000%. But recently, Google's released a statement saying that it doesn't really like those drop downs, so you have to be quite careful. You have to choose the right one. So to do it, you need to do a bit of research into how to code it, depending on how your site is coded. But it is doable. But yeah, it's probably the best solution because no one really reads anymore. They just skim. But obviously the bots and stuff need the content on the page to understand it.
So if you've got a lot of products that are quite similar and you want them to look pretty uniform across your website, how would you sort of suggest having unique stuff on each page if they're very, very similar, but just a different size or colour?
There's two ways of doing it. You need to look at, one, the search volumes. So if people are searching for different colours, let's say, I don't know, microwaves again. It's a stupid example, but if someone's searching for blue microwaves or red microwaves, or are they just searching for microwaves? Because if they're just searching for that one main term, you can create one page and then allow the person to choose a different colour within the page. But if the search volume is there and people are searching for the different colours, then you just have to pay a content writer and get them to churn out different content for each page. It's one of the troubles with what we're doing.
So as long as it's written, as long as the text is written in a different way to the manufacturer,
well,
it's just tweaked.
It has to be tweaked enough that it's unique.
What would your advice be for national businesses to sort of target geo-locations around sort of the UK? So say, for example, like London, or would you create separate pages for those, or is that sort of understanding?
Do you have physical locations in those places? It's a bit more difficult then, especially because with like the local SEO.
Is it considered quite spamming to create sort of portal pages?
It depends on the.
Articles related to that location.
You can do it, but you have to fill it with enough kind of content, and then as soon as you get kind of localized, then you get the local results, which will push you down anyway.
Like a big search term like microwaves, people will search for microwaves in London, read the search volumes there.
Yeah.
So the page like that to target that traffic. And if you do a page of microwaves Birmingham, microwaves Manchester, where's the limit to, obviously, you haven't got locations, so you're trying to target that traffic.
You'd have to write quite a lot of content. So.
But if you write the content, it's still obviously you rank for that. But, is that okay? Or?
It depends how you do it. If you're providing value and it makes sense, then it's okay. If you're just churning out kind of like spun content for different locations and just swapping Birmingham or Manchester out, then that's not going to work. Yeah, but so you'd have to create something that's unique, and you'd probably have to create something that was incredibly long, like thousands and thousands of words to compete, just because then Google will love the content and you can probably rank. Yeah. I mean, both parts work together symbiotically. You need links to rank. I mean, link building is turning into a dirty word, but it's still needed. It's just that people do it differently. The rules of SEO are still very much the same. They're just the margins have changed and the percentages have changed. You still need to market yourself. You can rank a site with just on-site, but it's very low competitive terms. You still need links. So yeah, it's still a vital part of SEO. You can test it. You can throw some like high-value links at a page, and it will just jump up instantly. But Google's trying to stop people doing that by putting measures in place through their other algorithm, which is Penguin, and that's trying to stop people being manipulative with links rather than gaining links naturally through marketing themselves, rather than just using machines or whatever, or buying links.
So how would you recommend you actually buy links more that they're natural, as in like the partner sites?
Well, it all depends on your niche, really. I mean, you can get links from loads of different sites. So you could post content on other people's sites with links coming back to you. You could, create discount offers. You can create, there's endless ways of doing it. The best thing to do is just to mix everything up and be as natural as possible. If you kind of go about it with a link building mindset, then you'll probably get in trouble. But if you go about it with like a marketing mindset, with link building involved, then you'll probably be all right. Anyone else?
What do you recommend doing with merchandising tools that create sort of thousands of different page variations depending on how many facets you click at once?
What, from the URL?
Yeah, from the URL, would you sort of no index anything that's got a facet URL, or would you stick to just the top few? Or
I wouldn't want any query strings or anything being indexed, so I would probably canonicalize everything back to the main URL. So everything before the query string, and then if you find that that's an issue, then you create landing pages that are targeting those queries that people are making.
What's the best platform to build it on? A bespoke one or an off-the-shelf one? Or?
Well, it depends on what your needs are. If you're building a blog, then WordPress is best, or if you're building an e-commerce site, then Magento is usually the best. But it's purely dependent on what you need, really. Which package fits your individual requirements.
What are your thoughts on changing a website's name for the impact on SEO?
Changing a domain name is it's a very big thing and shouldn't be undertaken lightly. I mean, exact match domains and things like that. So let's say, I don't know, microwave.com do still work, and you do still work in the search results. But moving a website from one website to another website, domain name to domain, is a huge task with lots of places where it can go wrong. So I would think carefully before doing it. If you've got skilled developers who can do it, you will drop in rankings for at least like a few months or so, but then you will normally come back if it's put in place properly. But yeah, you need to make sure that your developers know what they're talking about.
Do you mind if I ask sort of what the scenario for that would be?
Cultural civils to cultural drainage.
Okay.
Just a company name change, yeah.
Right. So a brief skirt over a very broad strategy. So obviously the site changes the new domain name, park and forward the old domain name onto that. So technically any links to the old domain name are then get 301 to the new domain name. Then this is only the offsite process, and then from that stage then revisit all of those links and get those changed to the new domain name. In terms of on-site, obviously make sure that the 301 redirect of the old domain name is in its entirety, so that Google can actually understand that this page I've indexed on this old domain name now goes to this new page. It's the same content that's targeted the same way, so that it understands. Utilise your Google Webmaster Tools and tell it that you've actually done a domain change, and just making sure that you've got things like all your canonical tags, everything like that you had in the old site, all in place. So this, like Adam's touched on, it's a big process, but providing that you go through all the steps.
Your car.
Yeah, yeah, no worries, yeah. It is a big process.
Okay.
I've worked at a company that did it, but they didn't consider SEO to be a channel that worked for them, so they just
Did it anyway.
yeah, bit the bullet and did it.
Did you notice that it dropped massively?
Oh yeah. But organic they just didn't see as a viable channel anyway. They didn't invest in it. So
we do, we rely on it.
there you go then. Yeah. So you really do need to make sure that the entire process is sort of in hand as you.
Good website.
You have to also keep in mind that you've got to keep looking at Google Webmaster Tools, or Search Console as it's called these days, changing the wording.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on crawl errors. There's a crawl error report in there, which that tells you the pages that Google's tried to visit but can't find anymore. So that gives you a list of the ones that you need to set up redirects for. So you can find the majority of them by using that site search, which Adam touched on, using Google itself to tell you what it's indexed. But anything that you miss, go to Google Webmaster Tools and it'll give you a crawl error report, and it'll give you a big list of everything that needs redirecting.
Thank you.
But if you've planned, hopefully you should have taken
Yeah, you
care
minimise
of
most of that. But
yeah. But yeah, the biggest thing, planning out all the stages that need taken care of. Like Adam said, you will see a dip.
Yeah.
But as Google starts to understand, you've told Google that there's been that change. As it starts to understand that, it will come back. Yeah.
Will it affect your domain authority? Because obviously you went history earlier.
Yeah, if the domain's obviously got no links pointing to it, the new domain, it's a fresh domain, it's got no history, no links pointing to it for any sort of authority, that's something that's going to build back in time.